and welcome to Digital Services Digitally, a series from the Mill Valley Public Library in which we'll show you how to get started with some of the resources the library offers online, which is of particular use while the building remains closed to the public. While we're closed to the public, as of the date of this video, we are doing curbside pickup of holds on physical items. I'm going to put up some contact information if you want to learn more about that. But today, eBooks and eAudiobooks with Libby. Let's get started. Libby is an app made by Overdrive, the company that provides access to the bulk of the library's eBooks and eAudiobooks. Libby's available for your iPhone, your Android phone, your iPad, your Android tablet. It can send books to your Amazon Kindle device. And on top of all that, it works in any web browser. So you could read to page 32 on your iPad, and then hours later, pick up your laptop and start from page 32. Yes, the future has arrived. First, we need Libby on your device. Whether it's an Apple or an Android, you will have an app store that you can go to search for apps. Look for Libby by Overdrive. You'll recognize her. She's the little purple person with her nose in a book. That's Libby. Install her, and we'll be ready to move to the next step. Do you remember how I said Libby also works in a browser? The way my setup is, that's actually the easiest way for me to show it to you. So open up your web browser of choice. You might use Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Brave, Vivaldi, whatever you got. What I'm going to do is click in the address bar over to the right. I'll replace what's there with libbyapp.com. And off we go. Now, setting up Libby is as easy as having this conversation with her. Her first thing she wants to know is, do you have a library card? Do you? Libby, yes, I do. Okay, Libby can guess where your library is based on your device's location if you give her that information. I find even then her guesses are sometimes questionable. I'm going to search for my library. I'll look for Mill Valley. But remember that we're part of the MarinNet consortium. Wherever you are in Marin, you are in the service area of a public library in MarinNet. We're going to choose MarinNet. Where do I most use my library card? Mill Valley Library. All right, my card number. It's taken me years, but I have this memorized. Boom. It'll ask for the PIN. That's PIN or password. It's whatever you use to sign into the catalog. Now, if you've forgotten it, it happens. Here's the link where you can go to reset it. I think I remember mine. Success. Here's an abstraction of the MarinNet card. It's even got the colors. You can see the limits. You can have 25 items checked out at a time and have holds on 25 things at a time. I could rename the card if I want. This is just for my own organizational purposes. I personally don't have any organizational purposes. I'll just leave it the way it is. Behold, Libby's main screen. Now, Libby is organized in two main parts. There's Library, where you browse or search specifically for what you want. You can evaluate it, place it on hold, or check it out. And then there's Shelf, where you manage what you already have checked out. You can renew, you can return, that sort of thing. You can also manage your holds. And yes, even in this beautiful digital future of ours, the business model of ebook lending means you may be waiting for virtual copies of the most popular items. C'est la vie. So you may notice this magnifying glass at the top left of the screen. And if you're looking for something specific, that is the way. If you are looking for an author or a title, put it in there and go, seek, and ye shall find. But that's not the only way to find good stuff in Libby. If we simply scroll down the main page, Libby will reveal her treasures. We'll first see some highlighted themed collections selected by librarians. Beyond that, we have these quick links to what's new in books or audiobooks, what's popular. And if I can't get any of those right now, what's available? Beyond that, additional themed collections, and you can look by genre: historical fiction, romance, fantasy, suspense. As you're scrolling through, you'll notice that some of these covers look like book covers. Some of them have these earbuds. Anywhere you see that, that's an audiobook. Now, we may have the audiobook to match the book. We may have just the audiobook. We may have just the print book. The collection in Overdrive won't necessarily mirror the collection that we have physically, because it's a complicated, fun system of acquiring licenses. I don't want to put you to sleep with the details. Just know you might not find everything, but you can always request that we add something. I want to show you what it looks like to check something out. So I'm going to go to what's available and just find an available book. Any old thing will do. The Giver. If I'm on the fence or I'm just intrigued, I can tap the cover and get a synopsis and all sorts of additional information. This one is in a series. You can see other items in the series. You can search by publisher if you wanted, or see lots more additional detail. You can read a sample and just get a feel of it. I want to borrow this, so I have the option to do so here. I'll give that a tap. Onto my card, borrow. Think, think, think. I'm getting it. On your device, not on this browser, you'll see a little circle fill up. That means it's downloading the data to your device. It's okay if you check this out, or even an audio item, and then wander off in the forest to read it or listen to it where you don't get reception. It's not tied to you being connected to the internet. In the browser, it is. I'm going to open this book, and before we get to the reader portion of the app, if you are deep into your Kindle and you're in that ecosystem, because this is Libby's first encounter with you, she's going to ask, do you want to read in Libby? Do you want to read everything on your Kindle? We can set a default so that every single time Libby will hand you off to Amazon for that last step to get that book on your Kindle. It's one additional step. You have to be handed off company to company, but Amazon controls what goes on the Kindle. If we sent this to the Kindle that I don't have, we'd just go to an Amazon page with the button, deliver this ebook. I'm going to read it in Libby. It'll load it up, and here's what the reader looks like. Let's get ourselves oriented here, shall we? There's the book. Down here, there's a big scroll bar that you can drag around in to go flying through the book and find any point in the book, with chapters demarcated here. How many pages you have gone through this chapter, how many there are to go. Libby's always fine-tuning these little features to make them more and more useful to help you fly around in the book. In the middle here, what I did to get rid of these controls is tap right in the middle. Then I'm just looking at the book. Tap in the middle again, I'll get my control bars to come back. Let's look at some really useful options you have. Up here, you can search through the book. You can set a bookmark for yourself. Now, we'll remember where you leave off and pick up. This is you actually like, I want to remember this spot and come back to it, even if I'm somewhere else. Here, we can switch between a 2-column or a 1-column layout, whatever fits your screen better. And this A will give us a lot of really useful text appearance options. We can make the scale a lot bigger. If we don't have our glasses, that doesn't help me, my eyes are terrible. If you don't have your glasses, you can make the text bigger. You can unlock even bigger text with the accessibility sizes. You can change the lighting. Black text on white, black text on this handsome aged sepia, or dark backwards. At night, I don't know about you, I don't want a blinding white light blazing in my eyes. I like to flip the black and the white. You can change it to a different font even. Here's a sans serif font. Here's what it might look like in a paperback book. And a very interesting one, the Open Dyslexic font. This font helps people with dyslexia have an easier time recognizing the letters. That's really useful and not something you could do with a print book. And the publisher's default, the director's cut. But Franklin, you say, did you say something about audiobooks? Yes. Imagine, instead of getting your big tub of 25 CDs from the library, changing them out, making sure not to scratch them, making sure they're all in the box when you return them, what if you could just listen on your phone? You can. This is almost worth the price of admission by itself. And since the price of admission is $0, it's a pretty good deal. I'm going to look for an available audiobook. We can see the audio buds, the earbud icon on everything we're seeing now. This is all audiobook. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. I can play a sample. Now, some people are particular about their audiobook narrators, and if someone is just not going to work for you, you can find that out. I'll just go ahead and borrow this one. Let's open the audiobook. Now, instead of a reader part, we have a player. It looks pretty similar, though. I've got my play button here. I can jump ahead 15 seconds, back 15 seconds. The familiar chapter ribbon down here I can drag through. Let's take a little listen.
Random House Audio presents Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Read for you by Kathleen McCarran.
What does Kathleen sound like?
Maybe he sensed back then that I would never aspire to anything more than a poorly paid office job, that I would be content to stay with the company and...
It's wonderful. What are our options in the listener? They, of course, differ from the reader, but they're also very useful. Here's a sleep timer, in case you have a habit of falling asleep and missing chapters and chapters and chapters of your eAudiobook. Some presets, a fine-tuning slider. Look at that. You can set exactly how many minutes you want, or to the end of the chapter. That's pretty useful because then you have a hard point that you can come back to. All right, I'm not ready for sleep quite yet. What's this here? Playback speed. So for the 7 habits of highly effective people among us who want to listen to our audiobooks at maximum speed, we can speed up how fast this goes to a ridiculous degree. I don't know if that would be fun to listen to.
Perhaps you'd also tell that I never need to take time off to go on honeymoon or request maternity leave. I don't know.
I feel stressed out, but very efficient. But the opposite is true. I could slow this down if there's something I'm not quite getting.
It's definitely a 2-tier system in the office. The creators are the...
Or good old-fashioned normal. Another way to fine-tune your experience. And that is how you listen to eAudiobooks. Libby's half shelf and half library. I'm going to look at a little bit more at how we can fine-tune searches, because that's a really powerful part of Libby. When we search for something, we can then cut out what we're not looking for to find what we're looking for. Dogs, big topic. Up here I see we get 570 books, 142 audiobooks, including the genres fiction, juvenile literature, and more. Some of these words are underlined, and this is a way to quickly filter out stuff we don't want. If I want to see just the audiobooks, I'll just click this 142 audiobooks. Even that is not my only way to narrow things down. See this refine option here? We can choose. You can see how many formats we're looking at. Books, audiobooks, right? We could narrow it down that way. What language they're in. If I want a single book about dogs in French, it's Clifford the Big Red Dog or Clifford le Grand Rouge Chien. And it's an audiobook. Maybe I've refined things a little too much. Where's my language? Never mind. Let's take that off with a little X. Okay. Is it available? What is it compatible with? There'll be occasionally some things that can't go to Kindle. Audience. What age are we talking about? For kids? For young adults? General content is probably what you're looking for. Mature content is... Okay, that's why there's so few. If you're looking for just general adult stuff, it's general content. If you're looking for adult stuff, that would be mature content. Okay, so we can refine our searches. What if we always want to refine our searches? What if you're that person who doesn't want to read on the tiny screen, would love to listen? From anywhere in the library, see these preferences? Preferences are permanent filters. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say I only want audiobooks. Okay, audiobooks. There, that's highlighted. I could set other filters. Their compatibility. Are they available? How do I always want to see things sorted? I love new things. I want to see them ordered newest to oldest. I don't really care about that. Right, I just want to see audiobooks. Apply preferences. Boom. One shows up over here. I have one preference active. That preference affects everything. Look now, we're still on the main screen where they're just suggesting things, but everything we see now is an audiobook. We just don't see print ebooks. This is a great way to cut out what you're never going to be interested in. Preferences. They're powerful. So we've talked about important ways to filter what we're searching for, set preferences that stick, and we've seen what the reader part and the listener part look like. Let's go over how to manage our loans before we get out of here, huh? Okay, let's hit the shelf. Now, I go to the library, I go to the shelf. I go to the library, I go to the shelf. Remember, the shelf and library are the two main divisions. Here we are in the shelf. I can look at my loans, my holds, or my tags. What's a tag? Tag is more of that, it's for you to organize your collection and say, I read this book, it had a swarthy male detective protagonist, and I want to, in the future, tag every book that has that. I'm writing a book on swarthy male protagonists, so that way I can have in my reading history a collection that I can easily look at. It's for your own purposes, if you're one of these people who likes to put little sticky tags on everything, virtually, or in the real world. I don't. I'm going to look at my loans. So here we are at my loans. I can hop back into the books from here. It'll remember where we were. Or I can do various things to manage my loan. Here are the ones I just recently got. They're due in 21 days. Very helpful. This one's due in 4 days. Pretty soon, I will be able to renew it. Libby says, wait a minute, hold on. You want to get your time's worth out of renewing. You can renew within a couple of days, I forget exactly, as it's coming due. But as long as no one else is waiting for it, just like a physical book, you can renew your loan for another 3 weeks. If you're done with it, you can return it early. I actually do want to listen to that one, but this one was just for demonstration purposes. I will return early. 2 people are waiting. Isn't that nice of me to give it to them? And seriously, if you're done with something early, it is a nice thing to do to return it early so the next person in line can get it quicker. Return early. Bye, bye book. And you get a little present. What's in this bouquet of flowers? Oh, thank you. I feel good about myself. We can go back to the shelf, find the next read, or see the reading journey, which is kind of a timeline of what you did with the book. For informational purposes, I guess. Those are probably the things you'd want to do with your loans, renew or return. Oh, wow. One of the nice things about Libby, I'm always discovering new things they sneak in there. Sometimes you can just tap stuff and see additional filters. Look at all that. If I had a whole lot, I could organize these in different ways. Thanks, Libby folks. Okay, let's look at the holds. I have some holds here, and we can see about how long we might expect them to take. See these little calendars? They'll give you kind of a very abstract indication of where you are in line and how long you might expect to wait. They'll also give you about a waiting time in weeks that you can expect. You can manage your hold. Let's say, never mind, I don't want that anyway. You can cancel it here. Suspend hold. This is like you move through the line. When you get to number 1, you say, oh no, number 2, go ahead of me. Number 2, go ahead of me. Number 2, go ahead of me, if that makes sense. This is, I'm not ready for it yet, but I don't want to lose my place in line totally. Then you can reactivate it when you are ready for it, and you will be next. Folks, that's an overview of Libby. It's really useful. It's always changing and growing and adapting. I'm really happy with it, particularly compared to the Overdrive app that came before, which... let's just not talk about that one. If you have questions for us getting set up with Libby, give us an email or a jingle at this contact information here, and we'll help you out. That's what we're here for. Good reading, good listening, and we'll see you in the next Digital Services Digitally.